Welcome to Nova Real Estate Solutions. I'm Dwight Morris, an estate and probate specialist at Innovation Properties in Fairfax, Virginia. Today, I'm answering a question that often comes up when families are navigating the difficult time after a loved one's passing. How much does probate cost in Virginia? Now, that's a really important question, and the answer isn't always a simple number. Probate costs can vary significantly depending upon several factors. So let's break them down, giving you, the executor, a clear guide on what to expect. When we talk about the cost of probate in Virginia, we're typically looking at a few key categories. First, let's start with the non-negotiables, the court fees and taxes directly imposed by the state and local governments in Virginia. The Virginia probate tax is a state-level tax, and it's calculated at 10 cents per $100 of the estate's value at the time of death. So for every $1,000 of assets subject to probate, you'll pay $1. This applies to estates worth more than $15,000. It's a direct charge on the value of the probate assets. Beyond the state, many localities in Virginia also impose an additional local probate tax, which is typically 1/3 of the state probate tax. So that's an extra 3.33 cents per $100. This means the total probate tax in some areas can be as high as 13.33 cents per $100. Both Fairfax County and Prince William County impose this additional local probate tax. So if your loved one lived in either of these counties, or if their real estate subject to probate is located there, you'll be looking at the combined state and local rate. Then there are recording fees. These are administrative charges for officially filing important documents with the court, such as the original will, the list of heirs, which identifies who is entitled to inherit, and various affidavits required during the process. For instance, you'll generally pay around $16 for the first 10 pages of the will and the list of heirs combined, with additional fees for any extra pages. These fees are consistent across all circuit courts in Virginia, including those in Fairfax and Prince William counties. And finally, under this category, qualification fees, these are paid when you, as the personal representative, the executor administrator, officially qualify with the court to begin administering the estate. The amount for these fees is based on the overall value of the probate estate. For very small estates, say under $5,000, it might be nothing at all, but it scales up slightly with the estate's value. For example, estates not exceeding $50,000 might have a qualification fee of about $20, and for estates over $100,000, it could be around $30. These are fairly standard court costs applied uniformly across Virginia courts, including the Fairfax and Prince William circuit courts. These court costs and tax fees are generally fixed and based on the estate's value, making them somewhat predictable. But remember, they only apply to assets that go through probate. We'll talk more about what doesn't go through probate in a bit and why that matters for your costs. Next up, we have compensation for the executor or administrator. That's you, the person responsible for managing the estate. In Virginia, the law allows for reasonable compensation. While there isn't a strict statutory percentage that applies to all assets, the Commissioner of Accounts, who oversees the probate process, provides clear guidelines. Generally, an executor can receive a commission based on a percentage of the estate's main value, what's called the principal. Think of the principal as the total fair market value of all the assets that are part of the probate estate at the time of the person's death. This would include things like bank accounts held solely in the deceased's name, real estate that doesn't have a specific beneficiary or joint ownership, stocks, and personal property. The guidelines for the principal commission are typically on a sliding scale. 5% on the first $400,000 of the probated principal, 4% on the next $300,000, 3% on the next $300,000, and 2% on any assets over $1 million. On top of that, an executor can also receive a commission, often around 5% of any income the estate generates during the probate process. These are called income receipts. What counts as an income receipt? Things like rent collected from an estate property after the owner passed away, dividends from stocks held in the estate that are paid out during probate, and interest earned on estate bank accounts after the date of death. It's important to understand why this compensation is offered. The executor's role is far from passive. The executor, also known as the personal representative, is taking on significant responsibilities that justify this compensation and often necessitate professional help. Let's outline some of these key duties. First, securing and safeguarding property. As I discussed in a previous video, this involves everything from changing locks to arranging insurance and preventing damage to physical and digital assets. Next, all assets must be identified. This means locating all of the deceased property, both real and personal, and gathering necessary documents like bank statements, deeds, and investment records. In Virginia, you must notify potential creditors and all legal heirs about the probate process. This is often done through publications and direct mail. You're responsible for identifying valid debts, paying them from the estate's assets, and sometimes even negotiating with creditors. Tax returns must be filed. This isn't just the deceased's final income tax return. It can also involve estate income tax returns if the estate generates income. This requires careful financial management. To satisfy Virginia's Commissioner of Accounts, detailed statements must be prepared and filed. You must provide a meticulous financial accounting of all assets, income, disbursements, and distributions to the Commissioner of Accounts for their review and approval. This can be complex and time-consuming. Finally, you oversee the proper distribution of the remaining assets to the beneficiaries according to the will or Virginia's laws of intestacy, if there is no will. Throughout the entire process, you must ensure every action adheres to Virginia's probate laws, avoiding missteps that could lead to costly disputes or personal liability. Given this extensive list, you can see why the compensation exists. It's a demanding role, and often executors choose to waive their compensation, especially if they are also the primary beneficiary, as this compensation can itself become taxable income to them. For many estates, especially those with any level of complexity, hiring a probate attorney is not just advisory, it's often essential. Attorney fees are a significant component of the overall cost, and how they charge can vary. Hourly rates are very common in Virginia. Rates can range significantly, typically from $150 to over $400 per hour, depending upon the attorney's experience, their geographic location, and the specific complexities of the estate. Some attorneys offer flat fees for very straightforward probate cases, providing predictability for smaller estates. Always clarify precisely what's included in a flat fee. While less common in Virginia than in some other states, some attorneys may charge a percentage, particularly for very large or exceptionally complex estates, where the work involved is extensive. The complexity of the estate directly impacts attorney fees. A large estate with many different types of assets, potential disputes among beneficiaries, significant tax considerations, or real estate that needs to be sold will naturally require more legal time and expertise, leading to higher costs. An attorney acts as your navigator through the legal maze, ensuring compliance, minimizing disputes, and helping you fulfill your fiduciary duties. Beyond the main categories, there are other potential costs that might arise during probate, adding to the overall expense. If the estate includes real estate, valuable collections like art or antiques, or other unique assets, professional appraisals are typically necessary. These appraisals determine the fair market value for tax purposes and for equitable distribution among heirs. In some cases, the executor may be required to purchase a probate bond. This acts as an insurance policy, protecting the estate's beneficiaries against potential mismanagement or malfeasance by the executor. The cost of the bond depends on the estate's size and can be an annual expense if the process drags on. To notify creditors or unknown heirs, Virginia law requires the executor to publish a formal notice in a local newspaper. This incurs a small fee, typically ranging from $50 to $150. For estates with complex tax filings, significant business interests, or intricate financial transactions, hiring a certified public accountant might be necessary to ensure accurate tax compliance and proper financial reporting. And a distinct and important cost category in Virginia that deserves its own mention is the Commissioner of Accounts fees. As I touched upon earlier, the Commissioner of Accounts is a local official or an attorney appointed by the circuit court who oversees the probate administration process. Their role is to review and approve the executor's inventory of assets and, more importantly, the periodic financial accountings you must file. They charge fees for this oversight and review, and these fees are paid by the estate. The cost depends upon the estate's value and the complexity of the accounting, and it's a specific administrative cost unique to Virginia's probate system. Each circuit court, including those in Fairfax and Prince William counties, has its own Commissioner of Accounts with their established fee schedule. Finally, there are always miscellaneous expenses. These can include everything from obtaining certified copies of death certificates, postage for official mailings, travel expenses related to managing estate property, and other general administrative costs. So with all these potential costs, how do you get a handle on the total? And more importantly, how can you potentially reduce those costs? The first practical step is to get a good estimate of all assets that are likely to be subject to probate. This gives you a baseline for court taxes and fees. Consult a professional. Speaking with an experienced estate and probate attorney is crucial. They can review your specific situation, help you understand exactly which assets will go through probate, and provide a much more accurate estimate of the total costs involved for your unique estate. Perhaps the most effective way to manage and significantly reduce probate costs for your heirs is through proactive estate planning. This is where foresight truly pays off. Let's dive a bit deeper into what I mentioned earlier, assets that bypass probate. When assets avoid probate, they are typically not subject to those probate taxes, executor commissions on principal, or many of the attorney fees directly tied to the probate administrative process. This can lead to substantial savings. Life insurance policies and retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs typically pass directly to the named beneficiary. The proceeds are paid out without going through the probate court. Jointly held property with rights of survivorship also bypasses probate. This is common for real estate or bank accounts. When one owner passes away, the property automatically transfers to the surviving owner outside of probate. Then there are payable on death or transfer on death designations. You can add these designations to bank accounts or investment accounts, allowing the funds to directly transfer to a named beneficiary upon your death, completely bypassing probate. Holding assets in a living trust is one of the most powerful probate avoidance tools. Assets that are properly titled into a living trust avoid probate entirely. While there's an upfront cost to set up the trust, it can save your heirs significant time, money, and privacy in the long run. Virginia also offers simplified probate procedures for smaller estates. If the total value of the personal property in the estate is currently less than $50,000, you might be able to use a small estate affidavit. This process significantly reduces court involvement, often negates the need for a formal qualification and Commissioner of Accounts oversight, and can dramatically cut down on associated costs and time. Your attorney will be able to advise you on whether your estate qualifies. While probate is a necessary legal process for many estates in Virginia, understanding the potential costs involved can empower families and executors to plan and make informed decisions. It's not just about the taxes and fees, but also the time and effort and emotional energy that are involved. Thanks for joining me today. If you found this video helpful, please hit like and be sure to subscribe for more information about real estate and the probate process in Northern Virginia. If you have questions about probate in Virginia, or if you're looking to proactively plan your estate to minimize future probate costs for your loved ones, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is in the video description. And if I can't answer your question, I can refer you to an attorney, an accountant, or an estate planning professional who can. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.